So The Mandalorian Season 1 was a huge hit with the majority of Star Wars fans, and now that Disney Plus has just released in other parts of the world, people are finally getting to experience the show for the first time in Europe and other places, just many months later. Although I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people found some smuggling alternative ways to watch it already. But anyway, assuming you've watched The Mandalorian Season 1, it was a crazy ride, from Baby Yoda force powers to the return of Mos Eisley Spaceport and Cantina, and the live-action debut of the frickin' Darksaber. So in this video, I want to talk about what does Season 2 hold that can top some of the awesome things that we saw in Season 1, and just, where could it be going? Well, I think it's time to talk about some of those awesome things that we definitely know are coming and are already very, very excited for, and at the same time, just discuss how these things may turn out when we finally see it hit our screens. But at the same time, guys, if you haven't seen Season 1, you probably shouldn't be watching this video, and if you are currently watching Season 1, I do have reviews for each and every episode. I'll link those in the cards above, just in case you're interested in checking them out. So of course, let's start with number 1, being the most recent. We are getting the live-action debut of Ahsoka Tano. Yes, you heard me right, and the character will be played by what I think is a fantastic casting of Rosario Dawson, and this news did break quite a few days ago now, but either way, this had to be the first thing that I mentioned in, things to be excited for in The Mandalorian Season 2. Now, it should go without saying that this is huge news, as there have been many fans of the former apprentice of Anakin Skywalker, and the fact that we know she is coming to the second season of The Mandalorian has many fans not only excited, but speculating on what her role will be, from questions like where has she been since joining the search for Ezra Bridger alongside Sabine at the end of Star Wars Rebels. I mean, did they find him in the unknown regions, or did she kind of give up? I mean, and when Mando and Baby Yoda bump into her, is she on some other kind of mission? I mean, it is to be noted as well at the same time, everyone, that Deadline are reporting that while there is not much to be known at this time with regards to her role in the second season, that they do know that she is not a series regular role. So perhaps Baby Yoda and Mando will be bumping into Ahsoka for a one-off episode, similar to several episodes of The Mandalorian Season 1, where there were just a couple of episodes of what you could say self-contained stories of Star Wars adventure. And there's also been quite a few concept arts of what Rosario Dawson will look like as Ahsoka in The Mandalorian, and once again, I just have to say I love it, and I can't wait to see her in the role and how it plays out in Season 2. Now, number 2, of course, and this is just a given, the Darksaber, and from what we've already been teased about it in Season 2, guys, it just makes it sound like just what we would have wanted to have seen with its appearance in the series. Now, as a lot of us, I'm sure, we're all feeling after that Season 1 finale, that moment when Giancarlo Esposito's Moff Gideon appeared from that crashed TIE fighter equipping the Darksaber was definitely a memorable and incredible ending for Season 1, and teased much to look forward to with Season 2. And many of us have been wondering about where things could go with the Darksaber in Season 2, and, well, it turns out that the man behind Moff Gideon himself has teased what is to come in Season 2 of the Darksaber by saying the following. The prop guys are wondering about me because I was in a bit of a commotion and a bit of a struggle with someone, which I'm hoping you will enjoy when you see it. Major, epic lightsaber action happening on this show, and I should mention that I'm the only character in this first season who was able to be honored with having that lightsaber, so it feels wonderful. So, Giancarlo Esposito here is definitely teasing some fairly rigorous lightsaber battle here, because, as he details, the prop guys were kind of wondering about him, and he was in a bit of a commotion and a bit of a struggle with someone, which leads to him saying major epic lightsaber action happening in Season 2. Now, that doesn't really give away too much, as it does tease us all with the possibility of what these scenes could hold. I mean, since we know that Ahsoka Tano is coming this season, I think we're all now kind of thinking the same thing, or at least hoping. I mean, how great would it be to see Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka face off with her lightsaber against Moff Gideon with his Darksaber? However, though, as much as I want this to happen in Season 2, we're ultimately just going to have to wait and see until later this year, because as I mentioned earlier, Deadline are reporting that Ahsoka is not a series regular, but that doesn't mean or doesn't discount her appearing in more than one episode in the season, so there's still some hope that she will be in more than just, one episode. It just means that she won't appear in most of them. But Giancarlo Esposito could have been referring to a major epic lightsaber action in terms of that it could have been taking place between the Mandalorian and himself. For example, the Mandalorian could be using a vibroblade, which, would face off against a darksaber, and that is literally what he could have been referring to. And, at the same time, that as much as that would be amazing, I have said from the moment that we saw that darksaber that the Mandalorian has to surely get his hands on it at some point. And finally, in relation to all of this, at the same time, we could see more flashbacks in this season that could tell the story of that big gap in time of where the Empire bombarded the Mandalorian homeworld in what was referred to in season 1 as the Great Purge, where they took all of their Beskar steel, and this is where, of course, as well, Moff Gideon also acquired the darksaber. I think that would be awesome to see, but yet again, that remains to be seen. Now, for number 3 is, of course, the returning characters. Of course, we've got the dynamic duo of Din Djarin and the child, or most popularly known as Baby Yoda, and at the end of season 1, they did become a clan of 2, but at the same time, most Star Wars fans are now speculating that the narrative of season 2 will still, of course, to be carrying on that search for finding Baby Yoda a home, but quite possibly his actual home with his own race. Now, this is something which Star Wars fans all should know that has never really been explored when it comes to canon and the backstory of Yoda's people, which has always remained a mystery in terms of details about their species, which could now all change in season 2, albeit though they could go about doing this through showing that homeworld or something like that on screen, but keeping it very vague, like we never actually learn too much, but Baby Yoda could still end up in the safety of his people, which I have to wait and see there as well. But we will also have other returning characters such as Cara Dune, of course, played by Gina Carano, and Grief Karga, played by Carl Weathers, of whom both set off together as they said goodbye to the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda after facing off against Moff Gideon in that finale episode. And we also know that Bill Burr is returning as his mercenary self, Mayfield. That news is quite recent as well. Now, I'm sure that the trouble that Moff Gideon will cause with that enraged look on his face at the end of the season as he wielded that darksaber means that the Mandalorian will need as much help as he can get from his friends, along with the addition of new characters as well, which, could lead into other Mandalorians scattered throughout the galaxy. There's a whole bunch of possibility with new characters coming in season 2. Some fans are even hopeful that we could get to see Sabine make an appearance due to, of course, as I mentioned earlier, her setting off with Asoka at the end of Star Wars Rebels to find Ezra. But at the same time, guys, I just think that would be a bit of wishful thinking, but never say never. It could happen in a future season as well, but yeah, as I keep saying in this video, we're gonna have to wait and see there with all of that speculation with the news of Ahsoka Tano joining this season. But let's now move on to number 4, which is somewhat the self-contained Star Wars adventure episodes that we all saw throughout season 1. Now, if you will remember, season 1 consisted of a few episodes that you could argue didn't have all too much to do with the main plot, but it was more of what some would call a side quest, or some go as far as saying filler-esque content that was spread throughout the season. Now, some fans like myself really loved this because I love the quality of The Mandalorian and the storytelling was still rich, and if you really want to go ahead and call it filler, trust me, it was nothing like the filler, really boring filler that other shows can have. And ultimately, because these episodes didn't feel like filler to me as much as, they were still really great episodes, still trickling along that storyline until we checked back in with the Imperials and the arrival of Moff Gideon at the very end. The episodes, I'm mainly talking about consist of when, the Mandalorian met Cara Dune in episode 4 and how he helped her, help out that village of people, stop that AT-ST walker. Episode 5, if you guys remember, the Mandalorian needed some more fuel for the Razor Crest, but this episode was full of action and nostalgia through seeing Mos Eisley Spaceport, Tusken Raiders again, and even more, and it was just to do with a mission with a wannabe bounty hunter, all while Baby Yoda was just being taken care of. Now, episode 6, if you guys remember as well, was literally a jailbreak mission on a Republic prison transport ship, which still brought up some of the Mandalorian's past, but still you had some fans out there saying, know, well, where's the main plot gone? We haven't really seen that since, you know, he broke Baby Yoda out in episode 3. And, you know, as I said earlier, a lot of people just felt like there was a bit too much in-between content like this during the season. But for me, due to the quality of it all and just having a Mandalorian going out and do this, you know, in space or on various planets and in the galaxy of Star Wars, it was just a big plus. And it still, as I said, trickled along that story, as well as introducing new characters and the development for them, such as Cara Dune, and just the world building and even more. So I'm just looking forward to more opportunities like this, and this is why I wanted to include this in this video, because it does tell tales that I at least feel like is worth getting excited about in The Mandalorian Season 2, that has the opportunity to as well chuck in various Easter eggs and nods to the past time of the Star Wars universe. But that is everything I wanted to mention in this video, because, you know, the details are still scarce about The Mandalorian Season 2, but there was still enough and a little bit of tidbits and teases that we know, especially with the recent reveal of Ahsoka Tano and a few other things. I just wanted to put a video together to generate, you know, there's already hype out there for Season 2, but just a little bit more. So what I would love from you guys down in the comments below is to hear what you're most excited about. Maybe I mentioned one of them, I bet I did, especially Ahsoka, but maybe there was something that I didn't think about. Other than that, guys, if you're enjoying The Mandalorian and Star Wars content, let me know by leaving a like on the video and just give me some feedback. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. As I said, I did review all of Season 1 if you happen to be brand new here, so if you want to check those out, go ahead. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and of course, may the Force be with you always.